So, thank you for having me here today. I'm traveling all the way from Norway. My name is Bugge. The product manager globally for the Naviate portfolio, one of the disciplines within the Symetri Technology. You had Naviate, you had Sovelia, and the CQ product that you just saw now. My task here today is to talk about how we in Symetri Technology are approaching a zero carbon future with providing some technology. I divided my presentation in setting the stage around sustainability, telling you a little bit about the initiatives we're working by in the daily work, talking about the solution. You will see a lot of short names, acronyms, MVP, etc., etc. So I will explain what I mean if you don't know. Give you some insight on the roadmap we are working by, how the ideation part, meaning how you as a customer users can impact the development. Because as we talked about earlier today, Naviate is made by customers, AC professionals, and developed by AC professionals. And some questions if you have that in the end. So just setting stage. Sustainability. These are the elements we're facing today. Climate changes, heat waves, impacting the ecosystems we have today. We see food security issues because no crops are being grown where you have the heat waves, etc. We see flooding. The flood never appeared. And all this is also impacting the biodiversity we have on the globe. You saw this one presented by Shivani. So we are focusing on the two last ones, meaning that we have 39% of the carbon emission coming from the industry today. We need to start somewhere. So we have said that we would like to focus on the 11% embodied carbon to start off with. And we would like to bring that in to the early design phase as possible. Nowadays, they used to do that initially in the last part of the design process and when you start building the projects. But we would like to consider embodied carbon as early as possible. So it's time to act. We would like to be able to use material with as low embodied carbon as possible throughout the life cycle. We would like to focus on reuse, recycle, and assembly as well. We would like to choose the materials that has a low emission when it comes to producing different materials. For instance, it's more emission when producing materials in Norway versus Iceland because they're using low energy resources to produce things. So it's things we need to look at. So this is the life cycle on embodied carbon emission. Everything from A1 to C, C4. The whole life cycle of a building. The first part is for us to focus on what we have defined as A1 to A3, meaning what type or how much embodied carbon is produced by producing this product, having this material in the project. And of course, later on, we should also consider transport. There are standard values for transport within each country. And of course, we also need to consider the A5 when it comes to assemble or building the project on site. But A1 to A3 is our main focus on our solution. Just let you know a little bit our initiatives today. So we have 4 main areas we're working by. And that's process efficiency. You saw some part of that today with RKD Architects, providing solutions within Revit, Civil 3D, the cloud solution, to make you work more efficient, removing boring tasks, repetitive tasks as well. That's one part. Benefit of data, making sure that your BIM data are secure, stored in the right areas, and you have the possibility to maintain that type of data throughout the life cycle of your project. Learning is a third part. Of course, having the solutions and you have invested in different solutions, we need to make sure that you adapt them in the correct way and leverage the cost you have put into the different solutions. And the last part is sustainability. To help you as users out there to do the right selection of different materials, products that you have available around you. And that brings me into the initiative that Shivani touched by earlier today. To be able to do that in a most efficient way, we need to look on the more or less life cycle. So being Symetri, we are so fortunate that we have the AC business, but we also have the manufacturing business. So we kind of could be in both places. So the Naviate Zero solution is going to be released summer 2023, we said. No dates, no promises there, Cormac. Naviate Zero, but we also have Sovela, the manufacturing side. So Sovela could be a solution for the manufacturers to, in fact, creating the APDs, environmental product declarations, because they have challenges today to really provide that type of data and information that the AC business can leverage throughout the design process. And to be able to do that, we need to partner up with somebody, and we partner up with One-Click LCA to achieve that. And the reason why we chose One-Click LCA is that they have the largest repository of data throughout the globe today, in any country, in any place you are working. And we would like to leverage that EPD data, both generic and actual EPDs, into the design platform you're using. And that's one key point. We, as some other products we have today in Naviate, is that we have seen that the users of Naviate would like to iterate within the design tools or platforms. They would try to avoid exporting data, analyze them, and bring them back to the platform, do the change, and do the same thing back and forth several times. So be able to have a solution within the design platform and iterate as you go throughout the design process. So if you look on the left and the right side then, so you have the building AC side here. So we are focusing on stage 1A to 3, and to be able to do the full life cycle assessment, you need to do One-Click LCA to get the certification, etc. But by bringing it as early as possible in the design process, you can take the right decisions as early as possible, and it doesn't cost much to do that. And the other side is still in progress, as the manufacturing side. So that's Naviate Zero. So this is going to be a little bit techy. I'm going to show you some screenshots, some mock-ups, and walk you through the different capabilities you would like to have in Naviate Zero. And I will promise you that at the end of my presentation today, I got a video from one of the developers this week. So you will have a sneak peek into actually how far we have come today, preferable having a release now, summer 23. So imagine you are working within Revit. You're starting sketching your model, putting up the walls, the floors, the windows, etc. And you would like to start considering embodied carbon in your project. You can do that by selecting things, or you can say that I'll give me my whole model, and we'll start off from there. So there are two approaches: selecting things, one or several elements, or give me the whole model I'm working with. Of course, you need to consider some project settings. We need to know in which country you are working in. Are you working in UK, Ireland, the Nordics, whatever? We also need to consider the units. That's kind of important when you're doing the calculation to provide you with a GWP, global warming potential. That's an outcome, having the Naviate Zero solution. That's kind of the setup before you dive into the dialogue itself. So have in mind, Naviate Zero is the first approach around sustainability and embodied carbon, but it's most likely you will see elements of sustainability within each and every discipline. So for instance, in architecture, we can have a look on refurbishment. You're demolishing something and you're building something new. Could you take some of the materials in the old building and put it into new building? For structure, optimize reinforcement, minimize waste, for instance. So several things you will probably see coming out from Symetri in the different technologies. That brings me to the main dialogue. On the left side, you have the model. all objects, material elements you have in your project. Windows, doors, floors, whatever. On the right side, is that right? Yeah, right side, you have the EPD repository, meaning that we are live connecting to the EPD repository when it comes to EPDs and generic values for each and every country. And I will walk you through the different steps and the capabilities within the product, and you will see the live demo in the video at the end. So while clicking in the left side, windows, floors, doors, or whatever, you will see that the right side is changing. It's instantly because we have mapped everything in the repository with Revit materials. So it will change accordingly what you're clicking on. To optimize that part, we have, of course, we need to implement some filter and searching, because if you have chosen the whole model, it's going to be a lot here. So you need to start filtering and search. You can do that by either leverage the Naviate Accelerate product we have, choosing live selection or filter, could be a start off. If not, you need to do that in the product. And it's important also to focus on the usability, the user experience doing this. The goal is that you don't need to have a PhD in sustainability or some environmental declarations or anything else. It should be easy so everybody in your company can leverage Naviate Zero and start focusing on embodied carbon. So, searching. We have implemented, as for now, things could change, of course, but being able to sort by category, if it's going to be by materials or objects or families in Revit, we need to be able to even sort down on subcategories, maybe types, etc., etc. That's one important part to have to work most efficiently in the product. There are some elements here also. I'm not sure how we're going forward with that, but it's more or less telling you if this material has an EPD or a value or not. And you can remove the EPD or you can add a new EPD, etc. That's the goal. So category, material, as I said, this is a mock-up, so there's no relevant text here. And the show part is if there's used an EPD there or it's not used an EPD there. And of course, it would be nice to have a 3D visualization to go hand in hand with this. Show me the whole building, what elements have no EPDs, and what type of EPDs are on the other ones, for sure. But remember, this is what we call the MVP, meaning minimal viable product. You as a user can install it. Early adopters can start using it and give us feedback. That's more or less the setup we are aiming for now, summer 23. So, as you see from this one of choosing categories, so if you go down to material, you can see that now pops up bricks, you have plaster, glass, etc. So you have two different approaches if you're going to work with objects from families or materials and such. Further on, you can see that we are also something called multi-materials. So we are detecting and exposing the different layers within a window, for instance. You have the finishes, you have the glassing, you have the plaster, etc. So we can start working with actual EPDs within different families as well that have multiple different layers of materials. Then it's time to go on the left side, or no, the right side for you. Looking on the EPDs. So this is live data, constantly updated from our side, depending on all the new EPDs that comes around in the different countries throughout the globe. So as soon as some new ones are being published out there, we will instantly have those available in our repository. So it's a live link from Revit through the EPD repository. And as I said, it's changing according to what you are clicking on the left side. So you need probably to start sorting and remove something. So you need to consider different data sources: EU data, UK data, And you can do a combination of those. You can choose several, because sometimes you need materials or products coming from other places and probably not within the country as such. You can sort it by type of material you would like to work with. And you need, of course, depending on the project, what you're allowed to or not allowed to, you can either work with generic values set for UK or Ireland, or you can start even working with EPDs, actual EPDs, for the different materials and products you are designing. You could also start by filtering. Give me the most sustainable materials and products, or you can click 2 or 3 of those and give me a view of which one I can choose between. You have the possibility to favorite some of the products and materials, so it's remember that to the next time you do the next project. And it will also pop up as your favorites will always be on top. So next project, you will see the same. So you don't have to look for those EPDs or the values you were working on your previous project. And units are important, as I said, as well, to do the right GWP calculation. And of course, seeing this large list, you would like to compare. If you can see, I don't think the text is kind of small there, but you should be able to compare different EPDs or values between each others. So it can look like this. Compare these 3 EPDs when it comes to the carbon emission, the embodied carbon. And then you can instantly, in the comparison, also click Apply. And by clicking Apply, you will write data down to these elements you've chosen on the left side. We are not writing the data on the actual materials itself or the family, but we are using the extendable storage in Revit to provide that data. But they are interlinked, so connected. So, easy to choose your family or choose your material on the left side and click the appropriate material you would like to use on the right side and click Apply. And it says EPD has been applied successfully to your materials. Yes. That's how it is. But of course, we have some management, C-level people that would like to see the data. How is your project doing? I don't really understand the data you're providing me. So you need some visualizations, of course. Both for yourself, but also for other ones, to see which category or which material is impacting this project most. And probably that's the first part you need to look into. How can I optimize this carbon emission for material A or category B, whatever. So it's 2 different visualizations. And hopefully in the future, we will also be able to provide you with a 3D model showing the different areas, if it's red, green, or yellow, as well, a 3D view. It's much more easy, or it's easier to look on a 3D model rather than look on all the different numbers in a project. So that brings me to this Naviate Zero MVP. So it will have capabilities, meaning that you should be able to get generic values for the EPDs in early design. You should be able to get actual EPDs, not just the values, if it makes sense and you are allowed to do that, of course. You would like Naviate Zero to help you choose, meaning it will suggest based on previous projects, this is your favorites, your project is in UK or in Ireland or in Nordics as well. So we will try to kind of optimize and propose some solutions for you going forward. And maybe in the near future we can add some AI into this as well and try to understand what you would like to achieve in using Naviate Zero. Could be. Of course, you would like to compare, always compare, to be able to take the right decisions. And you should be able to visualize the data. That's the MVP, minimal viable product to be out there, summer 23. I got a lot of questions because we are partnering with One-Click LCA, and they have solutions as well within the Revit environment. So I would like to just point out some elements comparing Zero with the One-Click L Revit integration. So one important part is that we do the summarization or the numbers, the CO2 emission, directly in Revit. You're not able to do that with the Revit integration. We don't need a One-Click LCA license, meaning that you can provide Naviate Zero for a lot of users internally, and you can be paying for 1, 2, 3 seats on One-Click LCA going forward to do the actual full life cycle assessment in the projects. You are transferring the data out of Revit, as I was talking about in the beginning. When you start iterating and optimizing your design based on the embodied carbon emission, you would like to do that in your design platform. No export, import, export, import again. So we are keeping all the data within Revit. With one click, you need to export. And it's a one-time job, and need to redo it next time, etc., etc. Yeah, and you can instantly get the impact by choosing A, B, or C on the EPDs or the values directly in the model. And probably in the future, you will have like a meter telling you, no, you're slightly above, no, you're slightly below the setup or the demands you have for your projects as well. And one great advantage using Naviate Zero is that you can have multiple users at the same time in the same project adding data. In One-Click LCA, it's just one. So that gives all the different disciplines, you can feed your model with all the EPD data you need going forward. That's the different, or the comparison with One-Click and Naviate Zero. Of course, we didn't fit all our thoughts or capabilities in the first release, so we have a roadmap already. And I will share it with you as well. So we would like to extend the visualization, the impact, the CO2 impact per element on type, and rank it high and low in the project. We would like to, as I said, put some AI behind this and optimize the way you are working with EPDs. We would like to work with different design options. So we would like to compare design A with design B. Don't mix it up with Revit design options. That's not the same. But implement such capabilities within Naviate Zero. Another thing we haven't talked so much about is always a cost behind choosing this material or this product. And in the future, we would like to see the footprint versus cost as well. So you need to balance the cost with the footprint, for sure, in the future. That's important. And as I said, having the meter showing you always the current state of the model by doing this. Of course, you would like, the industry is working with IFC, so you would like to export your data together with an IFC file to provide it into the project, moving from design into construction, etc. And of course, you would like to reuse the data you have done in your model and start off in One-Click LCA with everything you have done in Revit. That's the goal, or that's our thoughts. But we need you out there. We don't always know what's best. Should we do this or should we do that? So the whole Symetri Technology, they all have the ideation portal. That means that's a portal where you, as consumers and users, can add your ideas. Could we do this in Naviate architecture? Could you do that in Naviate Zero? It looks like this, and it's available for everybody to add, amend ideas. We are working with those ideas. We are picking the most voted ideas and put them into development. We have a development cycle going for 3 months, so meaning every 3 months, we can have an actual release. So if your idea is voted up, it takes 3 months from development to market, 4 times a year. So So that's how you can impact how the different products you're using going forward. Okay, now it's time for the video. A sneak peek from the developer created this week. How you can see the product in action. That was it. Thank you for me. Thank you for having me here.